The most dangerous part of our sport is this prop here on the ground. It's the safest form of aviation. You do not need a license to do this, pretty much unregulated. I always had dreams of flying as a kid. If you don't know what you're doing, this will certainly drag you across the field. The motor allows us to stay up in the air for as long as you have fuel. So that's a 14 meter. If the conditions stay the same and I fly, you'll see a 20 meter wing. This is the real flying carpet here. We just hang from it. See how gusty the wind feels. My name is Nick Rochetta. I'm a paramotor instructor, a paramotor pilot, and an enthusiast of all things that fly. All right, so the first thing I do when I show up to a flying site is I set up my windsock. I always check the forecast, and then when you come onto the site, you want to make sure the forecast is matching your physical observations at the field. Paramotor, it's a form of paragliding. The sport started with paragliding, which is born from parachuting, and someone had the brilliant idea of adding our own source of thrust. I would say for most people, if you're looking at this as a beginner, anything over 8 might start being too much. Anything over 10 definitely is going to be too much inland versus being at the beach where the wind is a little bit different. Someone who has experience and has the right equipment can comfortably fly in up to 15. I've seen people fly up to 20-mile-per-hour wind if they have the right wing to do it. The biggest factor to having successful flying experiences is the weather. Right now it's probably blowing 8-ish is my guess, 8 to 9, maybe up to 10. We have some type of front coming in that should be arriving around 9, and it's coming from over those mountains. So that's all the macro forecasting that I do anytime I'm going to fly. I'm aware of the macro perspective of weather, but all the forecast models show up till sunset, the conditions still look doable for my weight, my experience, and my equipment that I have. With a paraglider, you can fly in really dynamic air. People do that on purpose. They're looking for thermals that lift them up into the sky, but that air is dynamic. So we fly in very smooth air because we don't need dynamic air to stay aloft. We have the thrust of the paramotor. We refer to it as butter air, and it's really fun when you encounter those conditions because then you can just fly for an hour or two and it feels like your paraglider is literally cutting through butter. There's no bumps in the substance you're flying through. So we have 2 different types of motors here. Fortunately for anyone getting into the sport, there are a lot of different combinations of frames, engines, harnesses. So overall we call this the paramotor. Affordable is always a relative term. In aviation it's extremely affordable, but it's still pricey to get into this.